publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas, and good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, and to every nook and cranny receiving the signals from our 100,000 watt transmitter that all of you that are listening to us right now are part of the supporters of. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great show for you today. But before, I must, of course, welcome the world who are receiving our signals via the magic of the internet, formerly known as the ARPANET, created by we the people, you the listener, you the taxpayer, you the ones with intellect, the ones who actually created it all. Folks, we're going to have a great show for you today, but before we get started, we migrate to the studio where our geniuses, Howard Reynolds and Jackman Bibba, resides.
Oh, just a couple of guys who have successfully avoided work for a long time. Egberto. Now, I want to remind all of our listeners here that we are in Fund Drive. The funds are coming in. Thank you very much for that. Some of the events that are pretty exciting here. Rick Izquierdo is going to host a fajita dinner at the Cadillac Bar, and the single ticket is $120. It's coming up on November 13th from 7 to 10 p.m. Blues Cruise 2. Oh, this is going to be a blast. I'm going to love this because I really liked meeting the KPFT listeners on the last Blues Cruise that we had. Very successful. Everybody had a good time, lots of good food, and somebody was lamenting that they ran out of beer, but it's okay.
Did they?
I don't drink. I don't know whether they did or not. Sandy would know about that, and he can tell us. Throw it to him. $150 single ticket to the Blues Cruise coming up on December 7th. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's a thank you gift. We're not selling these things. It's a thank you gift for donating to the station. Last one here on the list of cool events, $120 single ticket to the KPFT brunch at Under the Volcano. Ronnie and Tom are going to host this thing on January the 12th. And those guys, if you haven't met them in person, you really should. They're just a blast. That's going to help out the radio station a lot. Thank you for all of your pledges so far. And Sandy can tell us, Sandy, how much further do we have to go here on our goal?
Quite a bit.
Okay, what will the gas?
We're about $100,000 away from taking our fund drive down, but we've got time to get there, and I have confidence in our KPFT listeners. The January brunch at Under the Volcano is actually hosted by Clint Broussard.
Oh,
and the cruise on Clear Lake is going to be hosted by Ronnie and Tom. So the R&R guys will be out there in the middle of the lake, and hopefully the lake will survive when that happens. Folks, we're looking for your support here so we can continue community radio. Simply dial 713-526-5738, hit option 1, or go to kpft.org and click donate. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Sandy. Hey, is Clear Lake really a lake? I always wondered about that. Is it salt water, fresh water? What's in there?
It's brackish.
That's brackish water. Okay.
Proper term, yeah. You can find a Loch Ness monster or two, or a Clear Lake monster or two in the saltwater part.
Okay.
No, it's a brackish lake. It goes right out to what's considered to be the Bay of Galveston.
Yeah, that's Galveston Bay out there. But I always wondered if the water in there was fresh, or was it the salt water? Was it dumping constantly into the ocean to make sure it didn't get salinated,
Egberto, why don't you come on the cruise, and we can allow you to just jump in once, and you can
taste it. All right, I'm going to do that. I'm going to taste that water.
And don't bring a quarter pounder. It's salted up already, and it's got other official ingredients that you want to do.
All
tasting
right,
of the
man.
water.
Even when
All
the
right.
onions are fresh.
Anyway, getting started here. Let's go to brother Jack Van Bever for the treat of the day.
Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
I am doing fine, my brother.
All right. Well, I didn't get your post, so I wrote it on war, my favorite subject I hate. It's the economy, stupid. Yes, war is good business. War in Ukraine against Russia. War in Gaza expanding to Lebanon and Iran. Prospects of war in Korea are looking pretty good, and provocative rhetoric against China. Yes, war is very profitable. It stimulates the economy. Those billion-dollar aid packages, the money stays here in the pockets of the defense contractors and arms dealers, and the bombs, they're dropped on the innocent. It's the war, stupid. It's a wealth transfer from the taxpayers to the pockets of the defense contractors.
So what's going on with North Korea?
Well,
Uh,
they're
they're
they
they're
Okay,
helping Russia now. They're helping
yeah.
Russia. They have a lot of North Koreans fighting in Ukraine now, so it's interesting what's going on. But Jack, I want to pick up on something that Jack said because most Americans don't know that whether they agree with the Ukraine war or not, right? Those who disagree with it say, we're dumping our money and throwing it and giving it away to Ukraine. There's one thing that every American citizen need to understand. Every war that we participate in, we never do so to benefit those we're dropping the bombs on or those we're dropping the bombs on behalf of. It's important to know that we have to ensure that we're making a profit. Every war that we fight, we first look at it from a point of view of money. If you doubt it, just think about every single war and we'll make the case for you. But you know what's worse about it? It's not only a war, a military war that we handle that way. Even recently with pandemics, you take a look at what took so long for us to figure out the logistics. I'm not talking about the drugs. Scientists have always done their jobs. The logistics. We didn't get the logistics figured out until we decided on what companies would profit from selling the drugs, providing the results, all the machinery of handling the pandemic. We didn't just throw it out there and what was available. We had to get all those contracts signed. Man, I tell you, when I tell you about the economic system that we've got and where the values are, and unfortunately, most of us don't know. I got a long soliloquy, but before I get there, looks like we have our first caller, John. But before John, I also want to remind folks we are in Fund Drive. And as usual, I'm starting with a big donut hole, a big zero. I'd like to make up for whatever days that I hadn't made my quota for this show. I think we want to keep this show on air. So I ask you kindly to give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1, to donate and give whatever you can. Right now, what we're suggesting is that you decide to become sustainers of our station, your station, uh, by doing $5 a month, $10 a month, $15 a month, whatever you can. $25 a month gives you a brick, 4x4 brick that's placed on, permanently here at the studio, and likewise a 8x8 brick that you get. Actually, it's a 4x8 brick and an 8x8, I believe. For $50, it's an 8x8 brick that you can go ahead and get. But again, $5 a month, $10 a month. I do the $10 a month. I am a volunteer here. This program I do on a volunteer basis, and I also contribute to the station, $10 a month. It's all I can afford right now with all the other commitments, with all the other 501c3s that I support as well. But folks, please, it's not only a good feeling to understand that you're doing the right thing, It's not only a good feeling that you're making sure your fellow American who don't necessarily have the wherewithal to put out here, but need this information, that we can get it done. It's not only that, it's just the right thing to do what we're doing here. So give us a call, 713-526-5738, extension 1 to donate, or go to kpft.org, kpft.org, select donate, hit that magical button, then you can go ahead and select Politics Done Right as a program you're supporting, and donate whatever you can. Anyway, let's go to John. Come on in, John. Line number 6. So line number 6, interesting.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. I'm gonna stay on the economy by telling you this. I checked my bank account yesterday, and my $5 a month is still going out to KPFT.
I
Okay?
appreciate that, my
Yeah.
brother. Thank you so kindly.
Yeah, I sometimes I don't get up early enough to listen to you, but I try to get up every morning and listen. And I'll put it this way: you're cheaper than a psychiatrist. You're cheaper than a therapist for $5. And that's why I call in sometimes, because I need to rant. And y'all sometimes I just go with the topic that you talk about, and you talked about the economy, and that's kind of exactly what I talked about. And you hit the nail on the head with the war thing and weapons. I tell my wife that all the time. I said, I'm 74 years old, retired, and since I've been a child, we've been in a war. I was born in 1949. We were in the Korean War, and we're still in wars. And that's how the economy gets moved around. But I'll tell you this about money, and that's why I called. I already voted, and it upsets me to watch these ads where Ted Cruz says what he says, back-to-back commercials. And then there's one with the Republicans telling you how all the Democratic judges are corrupt and blah, blah, blah. And I see the money spent, and I don't see enough calling all red commercials. And I don't see the Democratic Party spending enough money on Ted Cruz to get him out of here. I know there's several races, but I think it's gettable. I worked for Beto O'Rourke, volunteered back then, and I thought we could have done it then, and I still think we can do it. But Jesus, the Democrats just don't get it sometimes. You know, why are we arguing about the immigration when people like Ted Cruz voted against it, voted against the bill? Why are we talking about the economy when the economy is the best it's been in what? Since I've been alive? You know, I understand inflation, but I just don't see them attacking what they should be attacking. So my money that I gave, and I even gave to AOC in New York, and I gave to Porter in California, and I've given to Allred and Kamala. What are you doing with my money? But get some more ads. Let's see them, because what Ted Cruz shows you is just a lie. You know,
John, let me address that. I want to address that first of all, because you're so right. Okay, we give a lot of, when you get all those Act Blue and so forth that your mailbox is flooded with, you give a lot of money to these different campaigns. And Mike, I'm glad people donate to these campaigns, and they should donate a percentage of their money to the campaign. But you do not know how upsetting it is to those of us like you as well, who you could probably write a commercial, write an ad for the good guys much better than you're seeing right now. And let me explain what I mean by that, because I had to send an email last night to Alex Wagner, who did a piece on MSNBC last night about black men who are supporting Trump and why they're supporting Trump. And I tell you what is upsetting to me, right? I listen to everything those misinformed black men and black women were saying with Alex Wagner. And what Alex Wagner did was, first of all, let me be clear. There's a very small percentage of black men very small percentage of black women, very small percentage of Latino women, and a more substantive support of Latino men that are supporting Donald Trump or Ted Cruz or whatever. That's a statement of fact. Now, but if you listen to the news, whenever they're going to give you a story, I'm talking about MSNBC or CNN, not Fox, because this is what I told her in the message I sent her. What they would do is they are the true, they're not even, Fox advertised as clear and balance or balanced news or something, fair and balanced. CNN and MSNBC don't say that. They just try to act it out. But in the process of doing that, they are lying to the American population. And let me tell you how. Yesterday, as I watched the news on CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News, I watch all three of them. I have a system here that I can set them all up at the same time. My daughter thinks I'm crazy because she comes in here and she says, "How don't you go crazy listening to all of this at the same time?" Here's what they do. Fox News goes out and they find the story to reflect the narrative that they want to reflect. CNN and MSNBC hears the Fox News narrative and they try to see if it's somewhere, if it's true or not. So they go into Detroit and they find black people who are supporting Donald Trump and give them a platform. Then they find black people supporting Kamala and they give them a platform. So you have two groups of black people supporting either candidate. The image that they don't tell you is the image that comes across to America is some sort of a symmetry. When America hears that, it's like it's 6 of one, 6 of the other. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. They have the impression that these people both support Trump. It's some symmetrical thing, and oh my God, that's a problem when people see that. When it's a offshoot of black men and an offshoot of black women that actually support Trump, and they support Trump because of a lot of misinformation they get and missing information that they get. Right now, Alex Wagner, as she's asking these black men and women questions, they are talking conspiracy theories. They're talking misinformation directly coming from Trump, because I get it. Trump has been targeting black people with messages to touch black people, to make them fear immigrants. Hey, they're taking your jobs, not realizing that is not that is sort of a racist statement, right? Immigrants coming to take black jobs. What is that? The lower class jobs, But these people don't take it as an insult because, again, they're not informed. And the media makes it seem like there's a symmetry in the thought process there, which makes absolutely no sense. So I told Alex Wagner, if you really wanted to do journalism, what you would do is you would say, let's see where we have some symmetry. And that is actually white women. About 50-something% support Trump, about 40-something support Kamala. Why is that? And I have a soliloquy that I was going to include that topic in, so I'm not going to go into detail with it right now, John. But what you're saying is you could write an ad. You give money to these people.
Without a doubt.
Right. And the thing, let me tell you what happens, though, John, and then I'm going to let you go, because I need to do my soliloquy, but I need to tell you about this.
Yeah.
When you send your money to Act Blue and all of that, it goes into these campaign coffers. AOC don't see it. Well, AOC's campaign runs a little bit different, but the others don't see it. That money goes directly to consultants on the East Coast, on the West Coast. These guys don't have a clue what our brothers and sisters look like or feel like, or they have no empathy towards our brothers and sisters in Appalachia. They have no empathy for brothers and sisters who live in the barrios, in the hoods, or wherever. They don't know those people. These are folks that charge $10,000. I paid some of these guys when I was a part of the coffee party, when I was a part of Move to Amend, etc. They get $10,000 a pop for not understanding what America is really all about and who actually makes up America. What I'm telling you is the following. to all our listeners out there. You hear we are in Fund Drive right now, right? You have
Right.
myself, you have Hugh Talk, you have other programs. They're not necessarily all the same perspective, but at least they're talking to the audience where they can touch, feel, hug, because we know the people. I know the people in Houston, the barrios, the ghettos. I know the people in Appalachia. I've been with them, with these other organizations that I work with. I've hugged on these folks. I know what makes them tick. Not those consultants on the East Coast that gets your money when you give it to Act Blue or when you give it to whatever other things. Yet, as you just said, brother, and I appreciate that. You said, I checked my bank account. $5 a month is coming to KPFT. But you know what? There are a lot of my brothers and sisters out there. They're scared about these elections right now. They're giving already a ton of money. They're giving AOC a ton of money. They're giving all these guys a ton of money. And the folks that are closest to the people who can make a difference, who can convince this particular metropolitan area that they need to make an informed decision. We are scraping to try to get $10 a month, $5 a month, or what. I'm not talking about you, John. You're doing your part,
Yeah. No, I
but
think everybody should be given to
and
have a
that's my
voice.
point. And what I'm saying, I am asking, I'm using you as a segue, brother. I'm asking those of you that are listening to us right now, really, and I mean this from the depths of my heart. What John said, and John's frustration can only be solved if people that are closer to the people, KPFT, I bring on people here that are 501c3s that are doing things, HPJC that I work with, all these folks, we are all hoping that our audience, who we are informing, who we are trying to make whole, support the program. Not just for the sake of supporting it, but because we reach people that can actually make a difference. So I'm on, John. Thank you for calling. I gotta go now, my
Thank
brother.
you. Thank you for
Go
the
ahead, real
help.
quick.
Thank you for the help. I appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you. I appreciate you, brother. So, folks, please give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to donate. Please give whatever you can. As my brother John just said, he's doing $5 a month. You can do $10 a month and not feel it. Maybe $15 a month and not feel it. We are closest to the people, brothers and sisters. We are. We make a difference. You know how I know we make a difference? The emails tell me. I've been doing a series every day on Medicare Advantage. And I just want to read you something. I want to read you something just to let you know that people are out there listening, and we are making a difference. I thought I had it up here. Apparently I don't. But I get these emails. I think it's in Politics Done Right here. Here we go. Indeed, this I did shows 3 days in a row on Medicare Advantage. Indeed, as you revealed a few years ago in your interview with Jerry Ashton about the Medicare medical debt book I published for him, Medicare Advantage's plans are no advantage. Thank you for informing and doing something about it. Just got that last night. Another message. Thank you for sharing this. I could not agree more. When you really need long-term expensive care, Medicare Advantage may fail you. You will get cheap glasses and hearing aids, but that's about it. What I'm trying to say, brothers and sisters, is we make a difference. We are closest to the people. We are, in fact, closest to the people. Okay? So please give us a call at 713-526-5738 and give whatever you can. Let me throw it to Sandy for a second here before I get to Spike, Jacob, and Johnny.
Thank you, Egberto. Okay, everyone, we're still looking for that first pledge this morning. It's 25 minutes past or 24 minutes past the hour of 6 a.m. Hope everybody's up moving around. and is able to get to a phone or a computer and call in a little bit of support for this program. This program is absolutely essential. As Egberto pointed out, it's a dialogue. It's a dialogue, folks. You get to call in and express your views, and then Egberto can have the conversation around his point of view, and maybe just your mind can be opened up just a little bit to see things differently. That's really important. That's what community radio is all about. Dialogue amongst us all, being able to share this resource, however you share it. Maybe you listen to music, it puts a smile on your face, or maybe you participate in these conversations, especially right now, especially in this election season. A lot of us can't wait for this to all be over. But while we're waiting, it's good to discuss what's going on around us and maybe obtain that slightly different point of view, which allows us to be peaceably disagreeable or peaceably agreeable with our neighbors rather than the alternative. Our phone number is 713-526-5738. You hit option 1 to donate, or kpft.org and click the donate button. We have a Politics Done Right t-shirt for $100, a KPFT t-shirt, embroidered cap, which is available for a $150 pledge. We have concert tickets, lots of concert tickets, a hoodie for these cooler mornings, like this morning. That's a $15 a month contribution. No matter what thank you gift you take, remember, having KPFT in Houston for now 54 and a half years is the biggest thank you of all. Let's pass this along to 2025, not the project, but the year. Let's pass this along to the next generation so that they too can enjoy the benefits of community radio. Egberto.
Thank you so kindly, Sandy. Thank you so kindly. Folks, that number is 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Still waiting on my first donor, our first donor. Please remember, we are closest to the people. Many of you have been given to the candidate. Please save a bit to give locally, 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org. I so want to thank you on air. I so want to give you a big thank you and an air hug as soon as you do. Let's go to Peggy, line 4.
Egberto.
Yes, Peggy, how you doing this morning, my sister?
I'm awake at 4:30 in the morning here.
Where are you? Oh, Peggy Lopez, how you doing, sis?
I'm doing good. We have our continuing dialogue. I was going to call earlier this week, and a friend came by and brought me a little dog to hug on because I lost mine. I think the day after we first started this conversation. So I feel I'm doing better today than I was last time. The last few times I talked, but we had you said something about white women in our last conversation. And
yes.
My brain is a wide swath kind of brain. It's not detail oriented. Mm-hmm. And so I tend to give wide swath explanations in an answer. And this one requires some detail because you asked what can be done. And I can't tell you specifically, but we have to look at how we got here. And when I was born, you didn't know until after the baby was born whether you needed a pink diaper or a blue diaper. Today I understand they have some kind of gender exposure parties where people have been killed trying to tell you whether they're having a boy or a girl. It's bizarre in my mind. But and what happens in that instant when people know the difference, whether it's going to be a girl or boy, is the grooming begins. And what happens is you're shuttled off in a certain direction. There have been all kinds of studies to show that little girl infants are treated differently than little boy infants, so they each have a different kind of a characteristic, that it's actually trained into us who we are. And And what what they're doing to us was, I don't think really people really see it this way. What they're doing is they're grooming us into the ultimate worldwide cult, the patriarchy, and it invades every area of our life. And the most indoctrinated, those who come out the most perfect conditioned patriarchal people are in the white hue of humanity around the world. And so when you talk about, and you know, I see the MAGA as having to go through some kind of cult deprogramming, the same as everybody else. We're all going through some kind of deprogramming. And what we've been doing is looking at it piecemeal, looking at racism, sexism, anti-homophobic, all of the really crappy things in our world, which are all the basic tenets of the patriarchy that keeps a certain level of person in control. When Sonia Johnson was writing one of her books, I think it was Wildfire, it talked about the formation of the National Organization of Women. And Sonia Johnson coming through that, being ripped out of the patriarchy, when they formed that now, it was built on the patriarchal structure. And she almost came to blows with the people, the women who were forming that, the women who were beginning to break out of the patriarchy. The structure that we live in is hierarchical. It's an oligarchy, whether we want to look at that or not. It's authoritarian, whether we want to look at that or not. It's fascist, if you look at it from the perspective of the patriarch. And so what I've seen happening in about the last 60 years is that people have been withdrawing themselves from where they can see that they are in the patriarchy, withdrawing from being sexist, withdrawing from being racist, meeting people of other backgrounds, other belief systems, other ways of being, just coming to terms with the idea that the other is the same as me. And so that's been weakening the patriarchy to where we see what we see today with MAGA and the hold that it has on, granted there are people of other hues in there, other national backgrounds, but mostly it's white. And I think that's because that's the hardest nut to crack in the grooming from entrance into the patriarchal world that we all live in, that we all breathe in, that surrounds every ounce of our life. And
I am going to say thank you, Professor, because it is, that is an analysis I got on our 3 o'clock show a few days ago. I turned your analysis into a blog piece, and you expanded on some of it here that I'm going to reintegrate into the piece that I did. But what I think it's important, and one of the reasons that I started out this morning when John called, and I specifically talked about the black men that were sort of made into growing support for Trump, and then using some of what you just said as far as cracking the nut. And where, let's say, white women are in this part, I think it's a you talk about seeing the big picture and then going to granularity. What I see now, and as far as, let's say, even with white women, white men, is to point out that after we understand that a lot of this is in the design, the way to break the design is exactly sort of doing what you're doing and letting folks understand what the program is that they have been receiving, and that program, in as much as they're receiving it, isn't for them. It isn't for my white brothers and sisters at all, as it isn't for my black brothers and sisters, my Asian brothers and sisters, my Appalachian brothers and sisters. What it really is for the control of the leaders of that patriarchy. And that
Gotcha.
isn't democracy. But sister, look, I have a full line of calls here. Let's continue this talk. If you're still, thanks for getting up at 4 in the morning in California. But I mean, if you're still up at 3 o'clock, we'll talk at 3. Okay?
Okay. Remember,
Thank you,
I'm old.
I. That's
Okay.
all right. You have a young mind. Thank you, Peggy. All right, let's go to Spike. Come on in, Spike.
Yeah, how you doing, man?
I'm doing
Man,
fine, sir.
that woman said it to the T. I mean,
Yes.
it couldn't have been said no better. And man, only if we can expand our minds and grasp what she said, a lot of
Hmm.
us can't. You know,
Let me Spike.
now,
First of all, I want to say this before you finish. I think we have some of the best callers and listeners out there because you listen to the flavor of that conversation of what she just said there, just potent, and the fact that you got it, potent. Continue, Spike. Thank you, sir.
yeah, you know, man, what I've said is the easiest way to control a mass of people is to make them think that they have something to do with the way a country is run. You know, so you
Hmm.
gonna vote, you gonna
Hmm.
elect the people that see, and we really believe that. You know, see, we can elect them, and the so-called powers that be don't care who you elect because they're gonna be given an agenda to carry out, and it don't
Hmm.
have nothing to do with you.
Hmm.
No, and as far as us and myself as being, and man, I don't even want to say a black person because I don't even know who I am because that has been taken away from me. But as far as me being who I am,
You're a man.
Denmark, VC, Nat Turner, and all, they were fighting over hundreds of years ago against the same thing that's going on right now. You know what? They had, when they had elections and stuff, the main thing that they was putting out there was crime. Talking about crime. That's what they talk about right today. The same thing. Put fear
Spike.
in.
Spike, let me say this because I'm gonna have to start shortening things up a little bit, but let me say something based on what you're saying. You're right that we've been fighting this for a very long time, but you know what is the thing now? We have information saturation. And what that means is that we have to, whereas in the past information took a long time to move around, where we could get educated at the same time, where we could not get educated at the same time, we now have information saturation, and it's those who know how to use it to actually get the job done that will get it done. Hey, but brother, thanks for calling. I really have to go. I need to do a little bit of pitching here, then I continue with the callers. Okay, brother.
Thank you. Mhm.
Thank you, sir. All right, folks, I got to do some quick pitching here because I'm still at zero. So this is the time to call now. I'm going to take these other calls where you'll still be able to listen. But for now, this is going to be 2.5 minutes or so of pitching. So please go ahead and call now. It only takes you about a minute to contribute. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Again, that is 713 uh, 526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org and click that donate button. Select Politics Done Right as the program you're supporting, and please give whatever you can. $10 a month would be great. Sustainer, $5 a month, if that's all you can do. A coffee a month, 2 coffees a month, 3 coffees a month, that'd be great. But let me throw it to Sandy, and then we'll be right back to the calls. And the calls I'm going to have to hold down to a little bit shorter going forward. Go ahead, Sandy.
Thank you, Egberto. Okay, so what we're trying to do on this October Need to Feast fund drive is to fund the station through February. In other words, we're not going to come back until February and ask for money again. So this drive gets us through the winter months coming up. It's also the first drive of fiscal 2025 for KPFT. That's right, it's a new year. So it's essential we get off to a good start funding our budget, which was passed by the local station board and the national board approved, when I say passed. And it's a collective effort to get those things done. Long story short, we are about 1/3 of the way to our goal. We're sitting at $49,718. A $240 pledge, and we'll get really close to $50,000. 1/3 of the way through. This is day number 7. At the end of today, we will have been doing this for 1 week. We can get this done a lot faster. Everybody just gives us a call and parts with $5 or $10 a month. And when you do, a sustaining pledge is also matched with a $50 bill by an anonymous, very generous donor within our midst that insists that KPFT must survive. Do you insist that free speech community radio should survive too? Well, if you do, don't leave it to the next person, because the next person may not be donating. Take the step, take ownership. This is your station as much as it is anybody's. Everybody that listens, it's listener supported, not commercial driven. We don't have bonuses for CEOs. Heck, we don't even have a CEO. We have an interim, that would be me, general manager, that's doing this mostly on a volunteer basis, along with many other volunteers to keep this station going. It's kind of down to cases. The money we're asking for is the money we need to pay the essentials. And every one of those bills that we're paying is essential to keep the station coming to you. The electric bill, the taxes, the water bill at the studio. I can go on and on about the number of bills that are paid, the ASCAP BMI for the music. We have so many things that we have to address every month in terms of paying our vendors to make sure that we can do this and do this correctly. What's correctly? It's the public trust. It's listener money. It's being used to pay just to keep the station on the air and not to pay a lot of salaries, a lot of extraneous costs. We're trying to be creative, invite you to fajita dinners, cruises on Clear Lake, and brunches, so we can all get together and celebrate KPFT and support it at the same time. But it's up to you, folks. We're at a goose egg for this morning. It's past the bottom of the hour, and we could really use, or would really like to hear from you now. 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. 301 people have donated. You could be the 302nd person to donate. Thank you, Egberto.
Thank you so kindly, Sandy. Folks, give us a call, 713-526-5738, extension number 1. I would love to see some donors pop up on the screen. I'm looking at the screen right now. Would love to see it so that I can give you that big thank you, that big ear hug, etc. All right, let's go to Brother Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
Good morning, Brother Berto. I trust that the audience will come through. As a matter of fact, I'm on the $60 to $90 a year range.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
My donations usually come either before or after fund drives, the way my budget works. So fear not.
I appreciate you.
Your caller, I want to address the first caller, but really quickly, Spike, the second caller, I believe it was, he touched on this idea of consent, manufactured consent, that both Noam Chomsky and my favorite philosopher, comedian George Carlin, explained really, really well. So going back to your first caller, John, people who were born between 1956 and 1966, and I fall in that range, I was born in 59, our group of people, we resonate especially with what his message is, because in spite of this idea of feeling that our country has been at war constantly, I think we are pretty well adjusted. I don't know of any libs or Democrats or progressives that have gone postal while they were growing up in the mid-60s through the mid-70s. Think about that. But all the time we hear news of right-wingers going postal. They are so snowflakey and they're so vulnerable and so paranoid. I feel paranoid, but I don't act on my feelings. I have fantasized about renting a Cessna and making Rick Perry's life a living hell in the state capitol because he denied health care to Texans. But there's a point at which you have to be practical and say, what kind of utility am I going to get after I drive a plane into his bedroom? I might feel better for a little while until I die. But it's the other side that we really have to figure out how to reach. And I have yet to figure that out, other than maybe supporting this radio station and other media, and hope that at some point, before it's too late, our fellow time travelers on the other side of the aisle, like Brian, will finally say, hey, I am tired of being contentious with Egberto. I'm going to help you guys. I'm going to criticize my people for once instead of defending people like Donald Trump, who's a lifelong con man and career criminal. I think that when Brian is lying in bed at night, waiting to fall asleep, I think he knows exactly who Donald Trump is. And that's all I have to say.
Johnny, what is interesting is I want to add a corollary to that. And I'm going to use our good friend Brian as an example, right? Brian has been made to believe that what I believe, what you believe, or what we are doing is there to harm him or the country or both. Okay? And that is how effective the people that he currently trusts are in doing that. That is one of the reasons I say Brian and all the other right wingers that call us will never be my enemy, no matter how much they try. They will never be my enemy because I am looking at the big picture. And any day I make Brian my enemy, I would have allowed the plutocracy, the oligarchy, the patriarchy that Peggy Lopez speaks about. I would have allowed them to win, and I will not. Thank you, Johnny. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Jacob is next, but before Jacob, I need to give a big thank you to Stanley. Stanley is our first donor from Richmond, Texas. Now we need about 4 more Stanleys, and I'll be like the happiest person on the planet. Folks, please give us a call at 713 Mi bonita perfecta Peggy just called in. Thank you so much, Peggy, for becoming a sustainer at KPFT. Thank you so kindly, Peggy. It's interesting. Peggy is a longtime PDR Posse member at our 3 o'clock show. Now she's an official member at our KPFT show. Great. Thank you so kindly, Peggy. You're wonderful. Anyway, let's go to Brother Jacob. Come on in, Jacob.
What's up, Apostle? Hey, man. Well,
hey, my brother. I love the way you always start, Que Paso, with that voice, Que Paso. Man, I'm gonna call you my Latin brother. Talk to me.
I'm just going on. Hey, look, check it out, but when you say black man, and all due respect to you, but you can't. When they really say it, they mean us, like the descendants of the enslaved in America. That's what they really mean. And Alberto, you don't know us like you think you know us.
Jacob, can I push back? Jacob, can I argue with you a bit? I want to argue with you, Jacob. I really do. I saw a TikTok that really I want you to see. Okay, because here's the difference. The patriarchy isn't an American patriarchy. The slave trade wasn't an American slave trade. There are more black folk in Brazil than there are in America or around the Caribbean. What I'm trying to tell you is this. The only reason I speak with an accent, and I can speak with a Caribbean accent or a Latino accent, is because I was dropped off my forefathers dropped off in Jamaica. My parents migrated to Panama, so I became a Caribbean Latino. That's the only damn difference between me and you. So when you tell me, my brother, wait, hold on, Jacob. I want to be straight with you. I said I wanted to argue with you, brother. Look, I am not going to allow you to create some difference between you and me because neither one of us came to this hemisphere on a damn pleasure ship. We all came here on a darn slave ship in some manner. Now, Barack Obama came over on a pleasure ship because he wasn't a part of the slave trade. I'm just straightening out this ADOS stuff that really gets me rather upset. Go ahead now, my brother.
Well, okay. Well, first of all, I didn't say nothing about ADOS, and I'm not talking about the world. We already know world history. We talking in the American Airways right now. We're not
Yes,
talking
we
all
are.
around the world. And when they say blacks, they're not talking about Africa or all the rest of the. We're talking about right here. And I know what's going on in the streets of here of my people. Not all of us as people. And also when you say Latin, all the Latins are not. Trump is meeting with the Cubans. They not like the Mexicans. They're not like the Boricuas or Dominicanas. They different, bro. Just
Yes.
like what's going on in Korea, South Korea and North Korea is they warming it. Taiwan and Chinese. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I understand the diaspora of Africa and all what happened, but we here in America, and you don't know what we own and the way we feel is different from the way you feel. You came as a guest. You're not the same as us here,
Brother.
That's the fact.
I tell you something. I'm going to tell you something, and then I'm going to leave it. But you and I gonna have a lot of these talks to have, okay? But I'm going to tell you something. When I go out there and I drive in my car, right, and a cop stops me, he doesn't say, "Oh, you are one of them brothers with an accent, and you're different than Brother Jacob." The same bullet that's going to hit you is the bullet that's going to hit me. Let me tell you what I do, Jacob. Jacob, hold on. Come on, I gave you a chance to talk, brother. What I try to do, brother, is this. First of all, yes, there's a black issue. And when I talk black, I'm only talking about pigmentation. You know, there are a lot of cultural. I mean, the Geechee black from North Carolina is very different than you, the brother from, I think you were from up Chicago. All these are within the black folk in America. There are many different cultures. So I'm just talking pigmentation, brother. My culture is completely different than your culture. I have a Latin American Caribbean culture, completely different than a African American culture. But the one thing is that I am a black man, okay? And whenever I present,
I'm not.
I get it. Brother, I get it, sir.
I'm not.
Come on, Jacob. Let me finish.
Right.
Let me finish with my thought.
I wanted to
Let me finish.
Earth, and he don't know who he is, but he he the people of the book. That's who he is. All right. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, brother. We talk later, Jacob, because this needs more exploring. I need to ask folks to continue contributing. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Please contribute whatever you can. Again, we work very hard. Howard works very hard. Van Bever works very hard. Sandy works very hard to make sure and bring this to you. Let's go to Brother Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Good morning. How is everyone?
I'm fine. Talk to me. What you got to tell me? I hope can you be a little bit nicer to me today?
No, I'm going to be nice to Peggy and Stanley and say thanks for their donation.
All right, talk to me, Brian.
Okay. First off, Johnny needs to rethink his mental evaluation about flying a plane into governor's bedroom.
It was figuratively. Figuratively.
No,
Go ahead.
He sounded sincere to me. He
he wasn't. Nah. Okay, continue, Brian. Finish. John is an honorable man. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay. And you said that Barack Obama is not the same as you as a black person?
No, that's not what I'm saying. No, Miss. I understand. You said that's why we have to have understanding when we speak. What I'm saying is that the history of Barack Obama in how he got to this hemisphere is different than my history or Jacob's history. Jacob's history and my history are closer in the way we came to this hemisphere than Barack Obama because he came over, his parent came over directly from Kenya. That's all. Continue, my brother.
They're an immigrant. They're an immigrant, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, you're equating this with slavery, and again,
Yes, sir.
slavery ended. Yeah, slavery ended. 160 years ago here in the United States?
In name only, but yes.
In name only. Yeah, that's a good point there. Okay, I've been hearing a lot about reparations.
Yes.
Are we going to get this back from England? Because most of the time, from like 1614 to 1787, 88,
Uh-huh.
the United States is under English colony.
And you know what, Brian, Brian, I'm glad you brought that up. And I'd never thought about that, but you're right about that. I never ever thought about that. I was just thinking America, but you're right about that. And also, I guess the great British Empire has a lot to talk about that with India as well. So, Brian, I'm pressed for time, but I want to say that when that is a damn good point that you brought up. I never thought about it, but you brought up a good point. Let's talk about this later on. I need to get some more callers in, brother. Okay?
All right, thanks to everybody that volunteers. Thanks for the support. Bye.
Thank you, brother. Peace. I want to give a big thank you to Renee. Thank you so kindly for your kind contribution. We need more, folks. We need more. Give me a call. 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org, kpft.org, and click on donate and Politics Done Right as a program. Let's go to brother David. Come on in, David.
Oh, thanks, Egberto. Yeah, it's interesting that last caller, talking about the reparations and what England owes of it. If you think about World War II, World War I was caused by the Kaiser, the monarchy, and because he lost, he was forced to step down, and the people finally were able to get rid of that king. And the trickery, though, of the monarchy, the reparations of World War I were forced on the people of the brand new republic. So the people of Germany had to pay off the debt that the Kaiser, the king of Germany, had dreamed up and caused. And World War II came about because of that trickery. And so the future damages, whether it's today, I was spurred to call when I heard your professor talking about the patriarchy.
Patriarchy, you're right.
In some ways, I agree with her, but in some ways, I see it as a divide and conquer scheme of just people who have they're able to pay PR people to dream up wars and to point fingers at other people. Looking at Texas, it's easy to look at patriarchy when you take all the women of Texas and you pit them against the men who don't protect them. If women make up something like 52% of the population, and they're being dragged down by a couple of jerks at the top who say that the women don't have the ability to handle their own medical decisions. It's easy to look at things as a patriarchal issue, when in fact,
I don't think, David, the way you're explaining it, I don't really. I see you complimenting what Sister Peggy had to say. Because it is true, there is a divide and conquer, but it is still, the ultimate goal is we do all these necessary features on the side end for the ultimate goal. And the ultimate goal is the sustenance of that patriarchy controlled by the very few. I mean, I don't see it.
Well,
I don't see a distinction of between what you're saying and what Peggy is saying.
Well, yeah, in the long run, democracy, I realize I've only got so much time here. Out here in
David, let's finish tomorrow because I don't want to shortchange a lot of folks, and we still have to raise a little bit more money. But I love what you had to say, brother. Thank you so kindly. Okay?
To wrap it up, do vote. There are a lot of departments of government that are trying to be clean, and there are a lot of departments that are obviously corrupt. Make sure that the clean stuff stays clean and get rid of the crooks.
Thank you, brother. As he says also, go vote, folks. Go vote. They've early voted in Texas, early voted in a lot of places. Go vote. Let's go to my brother, Donald. All right, going to be short for me this time, Donald?
Quick. All right. Support 90.1 KPFT. If you go to the right bar when you go to the website, you have the archives and you can listen all day and never get your brain filled. Also, I believe the HD3 is up and operational. I've seen it, but I hadn't clicked on it yet. That'd be something Howard would have to
explain.
Reply on.
But he has his country station going strong on HD3, man. You know, brother Howard, always on par. Anyway, thank you so kindly, brother Donald. Okay.
Okay. Wait. You need
Go ahead.
You need to have a long conversation with a stork or the representative, because they have a perfect delivery record. They're the non-racist stork delivery of all these babies all over the world, and that's where you need to go with your next interview.
I love this brother here. Thank you, Donald. You're my man.
Later.
All right, I take care, buddy. Let's go to my brother Ray. You know, I love this combination of having our 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock people calling in. Ray, talk to me, brother.
Yeah, Brother Egberto, I wasn't going to call in, but I was very offended by what Brother Jacob said, and I really, every time he calls, he has a very condescending tone towards you, and I don't appreciate it. And I say to Brother Jacob, High Chief Prophet, whatever fake monarchical figure he wants to call himself and put himself on a high horse. Look, all black lives matter in this country, and you're not going to sit here at 6 in the morning and tell my brother. I'm glad you set him straight, Egberto, because I was thinking just what you was thinking. At the end of the day, when you look at the pigment, we all in the same boat. And if we don't paddle, we going to be up the creek, if you know what I mean.
Look, thank you, Ray. Let me tell you, Ray, I keep doing this requires one to have a thick skin, an understanding skin, and a skin that gives grace. Okay, so I whenever somebody calls here, talk to me, say whatever, I try to discard the negative if it's not going to affect somebody's life, and stick with the positive and pull out the positive out of that. And generally with that, we get dialogue. But look, if there's somebody I want to be in the foxhole with, brother, it's you, Ray. Appreciate you. And by the way, Ray, remind me if you come in at 3 o'clock today, I need to ask you a favor. There's a particular thing I need you to do on November 11th. So we'll talk. All right.
All right. I'll be on a listen. Appreciate you.
All right. Take care, buddy. All right. Let's go to brother Patrick, another PDR Posse member. Oh, the PDR Posse is active this morning.
Hey, good morning. Thumbs up to Ray. You beat me to the lecture to Jacob. Jacob, when you're voluntarily putting yourself in a category and then putting everybody else around you in a category, you're dividing yourself up. You're doing the job of the master of the plantation. I think that you should rethink that. And then now in response to, I'm going fast as I can, in response to yesterday's call from Brian, immigrants are not coming here for capitalism. Immigrants are coming here because of capitalism. Capitalism pushed into Mexico, Central and South America. They raped the land. They took over the family farms. They crashed the economy. They
Patrick, I'm sorry. I got to interrupt. I missed the station ID. This is KPFT 90.1 FM. All right, continue, please, Patrick.
I was just kind of highlighting the fact that immigrants are coming here because of capitalism, not in a good way. They're not coming here because they want McDonald's on every corner. They're coming here because there's nothing left in their country, because it's been stripped dry, stripped clean for the sake of capitalism.
I want to thank you for being. I really want to thank you for being a person here in America that is pointing that very important factor out. I was looking at a TikTok yesterday, and one person said, "How can Africa be such the richest country from a resource point of view, with all the people poor?" The same can be said for Central America, South America. Let's look at Venezuela. The same can be said about that. And what so many people don't realize is that it's not that these people cannot do things on themselves, is that these people have been prevented from doing things. Remember earlier when I spoke about we didn't solve the COVID problem, the pandemic problem, until business found out who and how the profit was going to be split. Then we went into high gear. It's sad that that's the case, but Patrick, I need to jump to Sandy to get some more pitching done. Let's continue our talk at 3 o'clock. All right, brother?
Yes, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Sandy?
Yeah, thank you, Egberto. Lively conversation this morning. I appreciate everybody calling and sharing the airwaves here in Pacifica Radio in Houston. And we have an anonymous pledge, and Renee and Peggy and Stanley to thank so far. Please keep the phone ringing. We are behind on the goal for this show vis-a-vis the last couple of days, but we're catching up this morning a little bit. So thank you. And for every $1,000 donated, and now there are at least 50 of those, $50,000. That's right. We've made the 1/3 mark, people. Don't pop the cork yet, but give yourselves a pat on the back for getting this far, this being the 7th day. For every $1,000 donated, we're giving bedding supplies to the Star of Hope mission or the Women's Shelter. We're going to divide the spoils between the two this time around so that we can give back a little bit to the community that gives us life here at KPFT now for 54 and a half years. So there's a symbiotic relationship created. I hope everybody appreciates KPFT parting with that little bit of money to do something good. We've been doing food drives and blood drives and all kinds of things to help the people in our immediate neighborhood. Community, folks. Community means all of us, near and far. You could be listening from the West Coast, where it was 4:30 in the morning when your caller called in before, Egberto.
Yeah.
You could be listening anywhere. But the point is, you're sharing in this resource. Please share in the funding of this resource. Consider that $5 a month or $10 a month pledge. Get it matched with a $50 bill by our anonymous donor. Let's all do that. And 2 of the 4 pledges this morning are sustainers, so I thank you. If we get enough sustaining memberships, by the way, our at least one fund drive, or maybe all fund drives, will be shortened next year, or we'll just do away with one and make it a little bit easier on our listeners. But that all depends on everybody participating on this drive immediately in front of us. 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. This is 90.1 KPFT Houston, 89.5 in Galveston, and God help me, I'll get the numbers for Huntsville wrong. 89.1, I believe. And hey, there's only one of these, and there are none others. Support, please. Egberto.
Thank you, Sandy. Anyway, I want to give a shout out for all those in the chat where there's a very active conversation going. We have Paul Fleming from Atlanta, Georgia, Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Atascocita. We have Billy Allison Aaron from Summerwood, Texas. We also have Shakula Hairstyle is from Houston, Texas. We also have, I'm scrolling down. Thank you for being here, all my great folks. I'm sorry I didn't read some of your messages before, but you know how it goes. You know how I go. Alistair Dreams, thank you so kindly for being here as well. And she says, Patrick is always a mindful caller. Patrick, I think you have, and that is so true. Patrick gives us a lot of insight, and I write blogs sometimes off of what Patrick teases us to write it on. So thank you. Like I said, I think we have the best core listeners, callers, supporters out there. So let's continue this drive, my dear brothers and sisters. 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to contribute. please also go to kpft.org, hit that donate button. Be sure to select Politics Done Right. Peggy, you did another one other than Politics Done Right. I think you kind of, they're right close when you put it in the P number in, it happens, but it's all right. We'll fix that in the system. But anyway, let's see what else we got here. 713-526-5738. You know what the title of the show was supposed to be today? TikTok influencer gets Harris Trump difference, the real thing. And I tell you something else, folks. This is interesting. The real Trump exposed was the other subject. You can actually find the entire show with the videos, etc., at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. But I'm going to continue here trying to get more of you to call in. I had a long soliloquy to give today, but you know what is always better than my long soliloquies? Your calls and the subjects that you bring up. Because, like I say all of the times, the program is yours. It is what you want to talk about. When Peggy called in, she continued her conversation from 3 o'clock or 3 o'clock show to discuss the patriarchy with a lot more insights. Likewise, when we have Ray or Patrick or Brian brought up a great thing today that I hadn't thought about when he was talking about reparations. When I'm talking about reparations in the United States, I've always been thinking about the United States only. And he brought the dates. And he said, what about England? And it's like, it's a whole big shebang that has to be worked on. So when you hear all those people in Congress talk about we need to study reparations, and then they get upset about, well, the Japanese internment, they handled their reparation. What about the black reparation? Well, we want to do it right. And the reparations, what would be reparations for other peoples that we have aggrieved, have different modalities than it would be for let's say the Japanese, which occurred in a select 4 or 5 year period or whatever amount of time that was. So, whenever we start using our minds to think things through and not fight things through, but think things through, critical thinking, it's amazing the solutions that one can come out with and the inputs that one have. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. I'll be remiss if I don't talk about my brother, Johnny, and Spike, and all of those who had a whole lot of great conversations today. I really appreciate your call. 713-526-5738. We only have about 2 more minutes for live calls that I can thank on air. So could you please do that now? 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to donate. Alternatively, go to kpft.org, kpft.org, hit that donate button, then go ahead and select Politics Done Right as the program you're choosing. I'm going to throw it to Sandy, then to the studio. Let's close this baby out.
Thank you, Egberto, for another great show this morning. Thanks, everybody, for calling in. Just a reminder that we survive on your donations, not on commercials, because we don't have any, not on underwriting, although it's contributing, a little less than 2% of our total budgetary needs. And the grant money, well, that's been hard to come by the last few years. So we rely on your donations. This is the time when we make them. Please be as generous as you can. Take the thank you gift that you might like, fajita dinner, brunch at the volcano, cruise on Clear Lake, or just a hat or t-shirt, whatever it is. It's a thank you gift from us for your kind act. Make it a sustaining donation, and let's get the $50 match with it. $5 a month, $10 a month. Thank you, Egberto. Thanks everybody that have called in this morning. Again, Anonymous, Renee, Peggy, and Stanley. Thank you for getting us off to a good start here on day number 7 of the Need to Feast October Fund Drive. Egberto?
Thank you, brother. Let's go to the studio.
Oh, nothing here, just pushing the buttons. And I want to thank Sandy for correcting me on the hosts of our events. R&R, the Blues Cruise, and Clint Broussard with the KPFT Brunch Under the Volcano. So there we go.
Hey, Donald wanted to know about that HD3. So tell us a little quick stuff about HD3.
It's a classic country station, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No commercials. All the good stuff that you grew up with. Some of the modern stuff too. It's a good station. You might want to check it out.
FM only.
FM only. That's right. You can only pick it up with an HD radio right now. We're not streaming it. We're just getting ready to. We're not sure when, but it's on air only. So if you've got an HD radio in your car or your house, tune on over to HD3 at KPFT.
Brother Jack.
Well, the polls are open. Let's get out there and vote these Grinches out.
Got it. All right. Take it home.
So we got to get out of here. Anyway, folks, thank you all the listeners. Thank you all the callers. Love you all. My name is, don't forget, you can get the entire show with videos at politicsandright.com/newsletter. politicsandright.com/newsletter. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics and Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
We now join Democracy Now! In Progress on KPFT Houston.
In northern Gaza, as Israel's devastating siege on the